Here's our 15mm wrench and get this nut off. We'll drain the oil. Alright, and because this is a synthetic oil, we'll let it drain for a little while, perhaps for like a good 10 or 15 minutes, and then we'll come back and start on the oil filter. To remove the oil filter on this vehicle, it has a canister here. This is our oil pan, and this is the oil filter. So, to remove it, what we will do is that we will still allow the pan to keep draining. And we'll take our special wrench. There is a tab here, as you can see, and you have to sort of bend this tab out a little to get it off. Let's see, is it out of the way? Okay, good. Alright, so best thing to do is to take your special wrench and you place it over the filter until it lines up with these special grooves here. So you got these notches in right here, these notches, and there are notches on the filter itself. So we want to try and line up one of these notches with the filter. There we go, that's perfect. Okay. And this will be the standard procedure. Lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. And there we go. Usually comes off pretty easily if you haven't torqued it down too tight. You're not supposed to torque it down that tight, so it should come right off. And okay, got a little oil on myself there. Usually you can spin it off by hand, like so. And then you'll see some oil will start bringing out. I usually do this with two pans. I have an additional pan underneath the filter so I can keep the oil in the pan still draining out while I do this. Just let that drain out a little. Okay. There we go. Alright, we'll just let that drain. Okay, so now I'd like to show you the procedure for preparing the oil filter. As you can see, this is the cartridge, and this is the oil filter that was sitting in there. This is the old one. So we'll go ahead and give this a nice cleaning, just to get some of that old oil out. And we will have to change the oil ring that comes standard with this oil cartridge filter. Every time you change the oil, you change the ring. So the ring you may not be able to see it, but it sort of sits like right here in this groove. So we have to remove it. You can remove it with a screwdriver like so. Okay, and it comes right off. Okay. Alright. Put my glove right here. Okay. Have a quick cleaning. So, then what we want to do is put our ring on. This is the ring that comes standard with the filter. I'm going to put this on like so. And if you get confused about where the ring goes, there's instructions on the filter that tells exactly where it goes. It goes in the groove right here. Simply slip on like so. Alright? Just like that. Okay, and that is where the gasket goes. Just like so. And then, take your oil filter and simply drop it in. Like that. Okay. And the oil filter and the cartridge is ready for reinstallation. Alright, so now I'm going to pretty much show you how to button everything up under here. Go ahead and just give this a quick cleaning. Just make sure that before you put on the oil pan plug that either the washer is present or present on the plug. We'll go ahead and close this up. There's supposed to be a washer there, so always make sure. And that's so it doesn't crush the pan. Okay, take a 50mm wrench, go ahead and just tighten this up. Just keep in mind these things don't have to be that tight. Okay, that's about good. Alright. Now, on our oil filter, I'm sorry I didn't show this to you earlier, however, just want to make sure that along these threaded areas and on the gasket that you apply a very thin layer of clean motor oil. It's the same motor oil we're going to put back into the car. The reason why we do that is so that when we're trying to put this in, this has been all cleaned out. I've cleaned it with a cleaning solution, and we don't want this rubber gasket to make contact with this metal here and not be able to turn. So what you want to do is, after you've had the filter put in, just make sure that you, just with your thumb or your finger, apply a very light layer of clean motor oil around the entire filter housing. Alright, and then this filter housing, this canister, goes right back in just like this. Slips right in, and very gently make sure that you don't cross thread it. It should go right in, just like that. Okay, and it'll start to get a little tight as you start to put it in. A little muscle. Okay. There we go. Alrighty, so now we will use our wrench. Again, I went and changed the socket on this wrench. I was having some troubles with the other one. It's a 24mm lug nut wrench that I'm using on the back of the filter housing remover. Okay, so same thing as last time. Make sure we get into the slots there. And let's see where it is. Right there. Okay. And then that on. And with our socket wrench, we will start to turn this. And it eventually will make contact with here. We will turn it till it's tight, but not too tight. So this oil, we allowed it to drain for a good 15 minutes. You're not going to get all of the oil out of the engine, but allowing it to drain for a good 15 minutes is usually good. So now we've made contact here. I felt it make the contact. And we will just give it a little bit of a turn to tighten it up. And there, that's perfect. And then this slides right off. Then, keep in mind that we do have this little pin here. Okay. Let me just push that back to make sure it's on there. Alright, everything's buttoned up down here. I'm just going to do a general cleaning of everything. Alright, so now we got everything buttoned up underneath the vehicle. We put the oil plug back in. We got our oil filter back on the vehicle. And now we're going to put the oil back into the car. We're going to use our 0W20. And the 2014 Toyota Corolla calls for 4.3 quarts of oil back into the engine if you replace the oil filter. So we'll go ahead and do that now and put our 4.3 quarts of oil back into the car. Okay, so I've gone ahead and started up the vehicle. I'll let it run for about 3 minutes, just let the oil circulate through the engine. And now we'll go ahead and double check and make sure that we don't have any leaks coming from our oil filter housing, which is here, and from our oil plug, which is right here. So as you can see, there isn't any oil. Sometimes you may have a little bit of residual oil that may drip from the bottom here, from where we had placed it on the threads. So a good thing to do is just make sure that you clean all that oil with a cleaner, and then start the vehicle and make sure that there aren't any leaks. So everything looks really good here. Okay,